Kasperi Kapanen returns while Josh Szymanski makes his NHL debut. We get you set for the Oilers and the Ducks for the first time this season here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well out there. Tom Gazzola with you alongside Benny Thomson and Matt Kassian as we get you set for Edmonton and Anaheim from Rogers Place. We're coming at you from the EST Satellite Studios inside beautiful downtown Edmonton. And then, of course, Benny is at our EST Global HQ. And then we'll have Cass at his home studios as well. Of course, you can join the conversation. Text us 780-218-9999. Hop into the nasty chat. Like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate that. Our fine channel and station continues to grow, and we want to welcome as many people as we can to what we're doing on EST. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Hello, Benny Thomson. How are you?
Great, Tommy. Great. Just got done with some clips, and boys had a good show here, the Reed Wilkins show, and now it's carrying on the good heat on the GCL Diesel pregame show.
Yes, sir. What do you think of that? I'm not going without a collared shirt and tie today. I wore it at the rink this morning, and I was like, it's Monday. It's the Ducks. Mm-hmm. It's been a grind. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to wear this.
Why not?
I think it looks okay.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, oh, that's nice. The collared shirt obviously is classic, but I think you can switch it up a little bit. NHL dress code changed theirs a little bit, so why not? Why can't you?
Listen, 98% of the time I'm wearing a shirt and tie and either a suit or something, sport coat, dress pads, whatever. And I still have dress pants and I'll have nice shoes too. But I just was like, I'm going to do this tonight. So we'll see how it goes. If you like it, let me know. 780-218-9999. If you think it sucks, also let me know. I'm oddly curious what people think about this casual style tonight. All right. So it is the Oilers. It is the Ducks. Anaheim riding a 7-game winning streak. Edmonton coming off what was a very entertaining win on Saturday against the Washington Capitals. 6-point night for Evan Bouchard. Epic game. Great bounce back for him. Doing something that so few have done in the National Hockey League. And, by the way, Connor McDavid had a 5-point night. And so, I wonder how people's confidence is sitting right now going into this game from an Oilers standpoint. Anaheim comes into this game 28-21-3. Edmonton 26-19-8. It is game number 54 of the season. It's wild that we're already at game 54. There's 29 games remaining on the calendar in the regular season, obviously fully anticipating playoffs for the orange and blue. Benny Thomson, let's start with the question of the night. I know Cass is standing by. I'll get to some lineup notes and then we'll get ready to rock. Yeah,
so, I mean, with the return of Kasperi Kapanen, obviously he's been a big talking point with his play this year. My question is just to gauge what the fans are looking at right now. What's your confidence level that Kasperi Kapanen could keep up the great play after this short stint of the injury that he mistimed these past couple games? So how confident are you feeling in Kasperi Kapanen to keep up his good play in the top 6 returning from injury tonight? Let us know.
Kapanen, if you're wondering, he's only played 14 games this season. He has 9 points. He's +3, 3 goals, 6 assists with 2 penalty minutes. Pretty good. Honestly, pretty darn good. I don't know how he's going to do. I assume listen, let's not kid ourselves. It's not hard to say in the top 6 right now if you're an Oilers winger.
Especially with Henrique gone and Ross basically kind of having to play for C. May as well.
So I like his chances. I don't know why he wouldn't continue to feel well or even threatened from someone else taking a spot in the top 6. And he seems to have found a home with Leon Draisaitl on that line with Vasily Podkolzin, and let him cook, man, until it's so bad that you can't put them together, which I don't think has been the case at all. And are the two wingers with Draisaitl powerhouse offensive players? No. They can get you a few 5-on-5 every now and then, though, and that's a good thing. So, I have no qualms or no worries about him continuing the good play. I think the bar is low when it comes to Oilers wingers, especially, again, lack of threat from the guys in the bottom six to take anybody in the top six's spot. Let me know what you think. Text us 780-218-9999. Hop into the nasty chat. The Oilers went very much optional today. We'll give you lines a little bit later on in the show when we get them during warm-ups. Even with the Ducks, the Ducks didn't even really have anyone down at the rink, just a few people that popped in. They played last night in Calgary, picking up a win against the Flames. Beckett Seneca with the hat trick, so a big night for the rookie in Calgary. We do know your starting goalies. Tristan Jarry for the Oilers, 14-5-2 this season. 282 GAA, 900 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 22 games. The 30-year-old has a 2-3 record with a 270 GAA and 898 save percentage in 6 games against Anaheim. And then at the other end of the rink, we're anticipating 30-year-old Ville Husso, 6-4-1, 308 goals against average, 888 save percentage in 11 games this season, 1-1-1 versus Edmonton lifetime, 366 GAA, 895 save percentage in 4 games versus the Oil. That takes us to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. As you know, Connor McDavid has a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977 for the Oilers. Adam Henrique, LTIR, undisclosed. And then Anaheim, Mason McTavish, day-to-day, upper body. Troy Terry, IR, upper body. Leo Carlson, thigh. Frank Vetrano, IR, shoulder. Peter Mrazek, IR, lower body. Anaheim has a bunch of guys that could use the fine folks over at Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy. And if you need a little bit of help getting back on track, getting your body back to 100%, book your assessment over at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. Let's welcome in our game analyst, the one and only Matthew Bartholomew Kassian. I don't think that's his real name, but I'm making it up. That's like Video and Arcade Top 10 on YTV. I don't know, Cass, if you remember that show. They used to just play video games. Yeah. And it was Nicholas Pickles. Is that his real name? Yeah. And it was such a treat to watch that show. I was so jealous of all the kids that got to compete on it. And I remember that font with his name, Nicholas Pickles. Is that his real name? So little callback to back in the day. How are you, Cass?
Man, I'm good. Yeah, that's a good throwback, Tommy. Like, thanks, Benny wasn't even alive when that was happening.
Yeah, I have no idea what you guys talking about.
That was a glorious, glorious time. It's when you watch, it's like YouTube. Like, you know how you, like, there's streamers and people watch people game?
Yep.
It was like that, but on real TV. Yeah. Like cable television. Yeah.
And they would review games. They would give strategy on how to play games because you couldn't just go online.
You couldn't just Google it. You couldn't look it up. Wow. You couldn't, and you had to, and it's like where you would see the reviews for the games too. So, you could show your mom or dad and be like, hey, next time we go to like the Blockbuster or the local video game store, this is the game I want to rent. And then you'd get stuck because sometimes you get stuck on like a level, not know how to beat a boss, not know how to find a thing. I remember there's this old, it was based off the movie Hook, which was a great movie, but it was like a Super Nintendo game. And it's like, we never could figure out how to beat the one level. Never could do it, but it's like there was no guides, no anything back in the day. You had to actually figure out how to beat stuff. It was nuts.
You know what game was super hard? And I finally beat it, but my brother had bought like a 4-packer. It was like, actually it had all the Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy games that in Ninja Turtles history, arcade games. And he bought it for me for PS4, but now that I have a PS5 that doesn't have the CD drive, or the disc drive, I had to give it to him. I finally beat Ninja Turtles, the original for Nintendo. And that was one of those games where there were parts of it were pretty tricky, especially when you're a 5-6-year-old kid. Like Cass, I mean, I'm a couple years older than you, but it was hard and it was frustrating. And it wasn't just a simple linear arcade game like Turtles 2. I'll send you some clips, Benny, and you'd be like, oh, okay. It was a lot. Thank you for remembering, Cass. I knew you. I figured you probably would. Of
course, buddy. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, I know.
I got you.
Okay, what would you say to Benny's question of the night in regard to Kasperi Kapanen and continuing his good play?
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I think he will. He had all the mo. He was playing very, very well. Hopefully this wasn't something or isn't something that's going to slow him down at all. But I think he kind of keeps it up. He's had a pretty good run with it. He wasn't out as long as we feared. So I think he is able to step in and kind of keep the train rolling here.
All right. Let us know your thoughts. 780-218-9999. RBM says, I just tuned in, but I know damn well you're talking about Video and Arcade Top 10. I just saw an interview with him, and I guess he used to DJ at nights, get like 2 hours of sleep, and then go over to the studio for a day of recording episodes. Crazy, and apparently that's not his real name. Yeah, RBM. And I don't like that show was probably they pre-taped a bunch of it, I would think. So, yeah, I could see that being the formula for him because, hey, he had the radio and TV chops, but a show like that where you probably record like a few in a day, a couple of different like shirts to wear to make it look different. And then they just, would air them over the course of a month or something like that. Probably was a nice little chunk of change you made off of it. But yeah, he probably needed a full-time day job. But that's cool that an interview with Nicholas Pickles, apparently not his real name, popped up. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, good trip down memory lane. Riding the Pine says NES Turtles was hard. Yeah, very hard. Very, very hard. All right. Norman a Combine says no clue about that show. Norm, come on. Cass, let's get your reaction to what we saw. And I know like it was crazy on Saturday and Bouchard and we saw the high end Bouchard and then you contrast it with a tough night against the Pens in that 6-2 loss. Where do you come out on the Oilers after Saturday? And then especially Evan Bouchard doing what he did, which was phenomenal
and historic. I mean, that's just Evan Bouchard, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You have to take the good or the great, and that was great. It was better than great. It was historic. Mm-hmm. And you have to take that with, you're going to have some nights like Pittsburgh, and that's Evan Bouchard, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just Evan Bouchard, like a defenseman like that. That is the way that they play the game. They're when they make mistakes, they make mistakes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And when they have a bad night, they have a bad night. But when they have a good night or they have a great night, it may potentially turn into a historic night, which is what we saw the other day. Like it's high risk, high reward is how we typically describe it. Now we do know because of playoffs, we have seen Evan Bouchard play not just high risk, high reward, but high reward and lower medium risk, or low to medium, where he locks things down and has the capacity to do that. He generally doesn't do that as much in the regular season that we have seen. Yeah. Which is fine, ultimately, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's Evan Bouchard, right? Off of one night, historically good the next.
On that same topic, a question for you guys. Evan Bouchard's peak game, like his best game he could possibly play. I mean, we probably saw it against Washington, but in general, his best game he could possibly play for Evan Bouchard. How many more defensemen can have a better game in the NHL?
In the league?
Yeah.
Well, you got McCarr.
Yeah.
At peak, you might say maybe Fox at his peak, if he at his peak.
Yeah. Quinn Hughes.
Maybe.
I think
Quinn Hughes. Yeah.
Has a better game.
Right now, could you say Lane Hudson at his peak?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's still climb his way to his peak. He's so good.
Yep.
Yeah. Sanderson, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But those guys, it's a question.
Yeah.
It's not a definite.
There's not a whole lot for sure's. Yeah.
If I go for sure, I'd go the two guys in front of him in points for defensemen. I'd go McCarr, yes. I'd go Werenski, yes, because he's otherworldly. I would go Quinn Hughes.
Yep.
Those three. But on top of that, it's question marks. Like those three, I could reasonably say at peak at their best, doing everything they can, having the best game they can have. Makar, Werenski, and Quinn Hughes, I would have in front of Evan Bouchard. Yeah. But that's it.
You know what? I mean, these guys they're a little bit older. Obviously, one of them just played his 1,000th game. Another guy's getting up there as well. Erik Karlsson maybe at one point, and then
but not today as it stands.
Yeah, as it stands. And then Roman Josi, I could see him popping off for a crazy night, or Shea Weber when those two were
Karlsson, PK Subban, like some of the guys, the high end. It's the high end skill guys, right? Hedman, same thing.
Yeah,
like Pete Hedman at his absolute best. Doughty, you could say the same thing. Like there are those guys.
Yeah,
right. But currently right now, I mean, it's 2, maybe 3 guys. And then everyone else after that is like, well, maybe.
Yeah. If they just catch a heater one night in a blowout or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But 6 points in a 6-goal performance from your team. You're in
pretty sick. And 3 of them are yours.
Yeah.
It's not just the 6 points.
And I have to give him credit. I always knock him for his defensive lapses, which he makes a lot, but he made a great play to help set up the equalizer.
Yeah.
That is at the opposition blue line. Awesome play in overtime. Good heads up. He had a great game, and there's no denying it. Can't deny it whatsoever. All right, let's get it to Game Changers. Well, guess what? You will be talking about Evan Bouchard right away here. Kassian, Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. He has been a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Please check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Boosh Bombs Cast, that's number one.
Number one, we already talked about a lot of this, but pretty hard to follow that one up for Evan Bouchard. Pretty amazing, historic, special night for him. And I think you're kind of heading into a night where you're going to need maybe, I don't want to say more of the same in terms of having to get 6 points, but I think a very important night for the Edmonton Oilers going up against an Anaheim team that puts up points, that scores goals, to say, hey, the most offensive defenseman you have just had the best night of his career. Can he follow this up tonight and give you another one? Again, not that you want him to have to score 6 points, put up a hat trick in order to win against the Anaheim Ducks, but you do have an Anaheim team that is very Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they're really, really good and putting up a ton of goals, high-flying offense. Sometimes they're really, really bad, giving up a ton of goals, porous on defense. Like, it's a really either or for this Anaheim team. And hey, Evan Bouchard, historic night. Let's follow this up with another one. Maybe 7 points tonight, guys.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah,
might as
absolutely. Well. Or how about just a really solid night with a little bit of an offensive contribution? I think
that's what I would really like.
Yeah, that'd be great. I like consistency. I like consistent good play. He can do it late in seasons. He can do it in the playoffs. How about he stretches that out now that he's 400 games into his career to as close to 82 regular season games as possible? I know that's a tall order and a tough ask, but just give it a shot. Just try it. All right. Point number one, Boosh Bombs here on Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian, numero dos. Gravity, Cass.
Whoa, the gravity of the situation is real. The size of this game is bigger than a whole bunch of them that we've seen recently. 4-point night, division game, a team that is statistically doing better than you from a points percentage standpoint, but from a purely points actual number standpoint, they're 1 point behind you with a game in hand. So, the difference between a win and a loss, or even just a win in regulation versus a win in overtime here for the Oilers is huge. It has big implications from a home ice advantage standpoint, big implications for trying to catch Las Vegas, and big implications to start to set yourself up against a team that is possibly going to be your first round matchup. Now, they might not be. We'll have to see. But as of right now, that's the most likely candidate is the Anaheim Ducks, even though I still kind of feel that they're going to slide. I've been saying that for a little bit, and they started to, and then they went off and won 7 games in a row, by the way. The gravity of this moment for Edmonton Oilers is quite huge because Anaheim's playing well. They were really good, and then they struggled. And then all of a sudden they're really good again. They've been streaking the last 7 games here, putting up all kinds of points, putting up all kinds of goals, and just playing a highly effective hockey game. And for the Edmonton Oilers, you can't be sleeping on this one here. Like the gravity of this game and the importance of this game cannot be understated. Yes, there's still 30 games or 29 games, I guess, after this one left to go. I get that. I understand. This isn't the be all end all, isn't dictate whether you make it into the playoffs or not, but it could very well have impact on where you finish in the standings, if you have home ice advantage, and how you start to set yourself up against a team that could be your first round opponent.
Hey, the Ducks before this 7-game winning streak, that stretch you were talking about, Cass, that was a 9-game winless skid. 9-game winless skid.
Yeah, no, it's they're Jekyll and Hyde. And the thing about this team, they're a young team. They have some really good young players. Have the capacity to put up some offense. They play a looser game, right? It is. You want to talk about Evan Bouchard style game? That's the Anaheim Ducks. It's aggressive, it's open, and it kind of has to be because they got some younger guys that are really good players.
Yeah.
But it's not like when we look at that Ducks team, the forward group in particular, we're like, oh, this. Where's the McDavid? Where's a Draisaitl? Where's that? You don't see that yet. They put up a ton of goals. And that's because they take risk. It's like they have freedom to make mistakes, this team. Now, sometimes that bodes very well for you when things are going well. Sometimes it goes very poorly for you when things are going poorly. And that's where you just see this streakiness of this team go. And, when we look at, because analytics help us understand when we look at their PDO. So they're basically how much are they actually converting on their chances, based on their shooting percentage and historic percentages and what you can anticipate from teams. It's they're probably getting a little bit lucky, or they're just really picking spots well right now. And it's not a group that we expected is always going to be able to pick spots, ergo the streakiness. But for the Oilers, you can look at that winless streak. They're on that 7-game heater right now again. So yeah, they're feeling it, and they are looking at you 1 point, one measly little point ahead in the standings, knowing that if they beat you, they still have a game in hand and they're a point up. So they're going to be primed and ready to go for this one. And for the Edmonton Oilers, you better be as well. The gravity of the situation is real, fellas.
Benny, how much juice does the gravity of the situation, in your opinion, add to this game?
Yeah, I think it's important, right? We talked about when the Oilers were really struggling, how they were somewhat lucky in a sense that it was against Eastern Conference teams, and that if they pick up their play, it should go up against Pacific teams. This is another great opportunity to pounce on that. Like Cass was saying with the whole Jekyll and Hyde and how they're great one moment and bad the next, that to me is the direct identity of a young team to me. That just screams a young core, right? With Cutter Gauthier and McTavish and Carlson and Lacombe on the back end and, whoever you want to name, right? They have a very young team, Dostal and net. So I'm not overly shocked that they play this fun, risky style because they're so young and they want to score goals, right? So, but with that being said, they are missing a lot of those guys tonight. This is a really banged up roster. So, for me, the Oilers got to take advantage here. I understand that technically right now they're the hottest team in the NHL. They have the longest win streak in the NHL right now. But you look at these rosters, or at least the one that played in Calgary last night. I'm taking the Oilers team on paper. Heading into tonight. I think the Oilers are the much better team in every position, pretty much. They should win this one. They should. They have the better roster tonight. Anaheim is riding hot, but a lot of their top guys that have been their big point producers are out of the lineup tonight. So, unless we're seeing Cutter Gauthier and Beckett Seneke go off tonight, I'd expect an Oilers win tonight and capitalizing on a Pacific Division rival.
Yeah. I agree with you, Benny. At the same time, it's I can see those guys going off because their style of how they play.
Yeah,
that's again what it does is it's a high risk, high reward team, and that's what kind of scares me with the Ducks.
Yeah,
because it's does Edmonton have? Then they should, but do they have the wherewithal to be the team that's kind of sitting back? Because normally when teams are like, "Hey, we're going to go shot for shot with you," Edmonton's like, all right,
okay.
Like we'll take that.
Yeah.
But it scares me a little bit too, because if Edmonton's like, oh, hey, this is wide open, and they just start going, then it just becomes a dice roll, right? It's like, well, I mean, you roll the dice, flip a coin, see who wins. So yeah, it's an interesting matchup. And you're right with the injuries. They should, like with Terry out and McTavish out in particular, but he said some of those guys, they've still just found ways to chip in, and that's why they won 7 in a row.
Yeah.
It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. The first point was Boosh Bombs. The second one, Gravity. Point number 3, Cass, here on Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Tighten up. Yeah,
well, on that note, just a continuation of what we were just saying, you got to tighten up in front of your own net and in the house today, because and tighten up with those free pucks in the offensive zone, because Anaheim is looking to jump. They push, they flood the zone or blow the zone early, where they're trying to stretch out the defense. They are aggressive on the forecheck. They play fast. They play loose. They throw pucks, but they also play fast, and they're waiting for you to make some of those mistakes. So for Edmonton, we can't see we can't see the Washington type of games, right? We can't see. I don't think we can, or I don't want to see like the 6-5 type of game. I think again, oftentimes those games bode well for Edmonton, because they got with McDavid and Draisaitl, 2 of the best offensive players in the world. And Evan Bouchard, we got to put him in that conversation now, the better offensive defenseman in the world when he's playing well. I just still don't like that type of game against the Anaheim Ducks. And I feel for Edmonton, like if Evan Bouchard wants to take some risk in his game, sure. David Draisaitl, sure. But if that bleeds into the rest of the lineup and this turns into the run and gun shootout, it just makes me nervous, as I said already. So I do want them to tighten up. After last game, cut down on some of those grade A chances against, make sure that they're still being efficient with the puck. And yes, take some chances when they're there in the offensive zone, but maybe play a little bit more responsible tonight against the Ducks.
They were, 30 seconds away from a loss. So they managed to salvage a couple of great plays, including Bouchard's at the line to hold it in, and then makes a nice play in overtime to set up the game winner by Connor McDavid. So Cass, Bouch Bombs, Gravity, tighten up. That is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, my friend, go watch some clips of Video and Arcade Top 10. Go down memory lane, and then watch the game, and then we'll catch up with you on the post-game show. How does that sound?
Sounds great, guys.
There you go. There's Matt Kassian, our game analyst, helping us get set for tonight's action between the Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks. Text us 780-218-9999. Twitter Mary says, apparently you're sporting the new look, Tommy, as my youngest was wearing a similar getup for his ACAC hockey games this past weekend. Dark jacket, light sweater, dress pants. All the kids are wearing it. You can count on me for the timely and astute hockey observations. That's from Twitter Mary. Twitter Mary, your thermos is cleaned and ready to go at our reception desk, by the way, whenever you want to make your way over. The soup was great and helped me get through my illness. And I'm glad that I'm not out to lunch on this look, although some people might think that it's not great, but I feel like for the most part, it's going to work.
Give us tonight. The update from the press box upstairs.
Well, hang on. Yeah, I can. But how many people in Edmonton media and in that press box can we trust their judgment on fashion?
Yeah, true. Very true. Very, very true.
A couple. Not many. All right, we want to go inside the Oilers locker room. Let's hear from head coach Chris Knobloch. And then when we return, it'll be Jonathan Davis, host of the Ice Cap on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. He's also on VSiD. He's also got a bunch of other stuff on the go. But JD will join us after we hear from head coach Chris Knobloch.
Having Kasperi back in the lineup and what he brings to your team.
He's made a huge difference when he's been in the lineup. And anytime he's not been with us, we've always been wanting him in and what he could do for our team. But he adds a lot of, he's tenacious. He's hard on the forecheck. He's skilled that he can make some plays. He's been scoring goals. And he also can kill penalties. So, I think we just need a little more of that, a little more urgency, speed, and, being able to make plays. And Cappy's been doing that. He's been very consistent player this year.
About Josh, what has the organization, yourself, kind of seen from him in Bakersfield that's provided this opportunity?
Well, Josh, when he came here, obviously he didn't really know what he's going to provide, especially the coaching staff has never seen him play. You don't know what he is and if he's ever going to play in the NHL. He came to training camp, had an outstanding camp, made a very strong impression with everybody, and he wasn't ready to be in the NHL from day one, but went down to Bakersfield playing the North American game, obviously in the AHL, and was down there and played really well. And he's not a lot of guys scoring points. He hasn't really thrived on the power play. He's played a little bit on the power play. He's got a few points there, but he's been a very good 5-on-5 player, reliable defensively. But I think, we were just talking about Kassian earlier about having a little more speed to our lineup, a little more tenaciousness, maybe a little bit of physicality, but just a guy who can get in on the forecheck and play with some speed. And, he has that, and he's not going to be trading chances. He's pretty reliable, and, so this is a great opportunity for him, and we're excited to see him.
Your configuration on the blue line, the last little bit here, is that sort of the long-term vision to see if that'll work and get that to stick? Like, what do your numbers tell you about Stastny as he comes and goes from his offside and those sorts of things? How's that all work?
Yeah, we've had to, it's not ideal to put in defensemen left side, right side, moving them back and forth, and even with Wallman, we don't want to be moving him around too much, but try to find out what's best for our group. And a couple days ago I was answering a question about one of our forwards moving around, and it's not ideal moving those guys around, but we have to think about what's best for our team and look in the big picture. And those guys have to be flexible on being able to adjust. And right now we're gonna try that pair, but we're not set on anything right now. I think we're still have a little bit of time, and I think we can go either way. And of course there's going to be some flexibility, or it has to be some flexibility on line matchups, and also probably more importantly in time of the game. Are we pressing for a goal, or we have a lead? So I think those are things to consider.
Is there a certain drop-off that's kind of expected when you take a guy and put him on his offside, and is it about just figuring out where that drop-off is the least player to player? Well,
there's going to be a drop-off with that player, but there's so many factors, like who's he been on the ice with? Is he out with good offensive players, or is he sheltered and doesn't get that? And is he playing harder minutes? There's so many factors rather than if you just look at, he's was 55 expected goals for, and he dropped down to 45. Did his game drop 10%, or there's probably a lot of factors in that, and how's the team playing at that time? So I believe Stats is better on his left side. I think that is more natural, and that's pretty much the case for every single defenseman in the NHL. But we need some flexibility on is that best for him? Because Wallman, somebody has to play on their offside. So is that Wallman, or is that Stastny?
Is you interested in Jari again to start tonight?
Yes, he is.
When you make a call up, do you sort of go, this is the guy I want, or do you recall, like, what's kind of the process in finding the player that fits at this particular time?
Well, a lot of things. We know how the players are, how they're playing down there, and have a kind of a vision there. Obviously, I get reports from Stan and the coaching staff in Bakersfield, but usually starts with Stan and I talking about the team and who's playing well and where we want to go forward. And I kind of have a vision of what kind of player that I would like for our team if we're going to make a change. And then, he talks to Keith Gretzky, and Keith would give him an update on who's playing really well, and this guy deserves it, or this guy's maybe he's hurt or not quite ready. And then there's that communication. Then we kind of try and make the best decision, bringing the right guy up.
Chris, with Cappy returning, who comes out of the line?
Mangiapane.
All right, there's Chris Knobloch, Andrew Majapane, as well as Alec Regula not playing. And Calvin Pickard was also the goalie out late. No real surprise there, I don't think. Tristan Jarry, your starter for the Oilers. All right, Josh Szymanski, by the way, 7 goals, 21 assists, 28 points in 39 games, +8 with 36 penalty minutes, 6'2", 195 pounds is what he's listed at, 23 years old. And I think he's excited, obviously, for his first National Hockey League game. I'm curious to see what he brings to the table, Benny. They had to send down Ike Howard. Obviously, dollars and cents, cap numbers, all that has to factor in. Edmonton's up against it. Like other teams, there's a whole bunch of teams that are up against it when it comes to the cap, but Edmonton's one of those as well. And a different look, a different type of player, if you will. And I don't think, again, I said it earlier in the show, the bar isn't that high for bottom 6 players. I think if he's effective, plays up and down he's playing, we expect him to play center. I got to double check to see if the lines have been put out. But if he plays a simple game, is effective on the forecheck, maybe creates a little chaos, then I think we're generally happy with Josh Szymanski. How do you look at him tonight?
Yeah, to me, seeing what Knobloch said about him, he like you were saying, gives a different look, right? And Howard's the type of guy, he's going to make mistakes. He wants the puck on his stick. Is constantly trying to make a move with the puck, and sometimes that results in turnovers, and sometimes he's unreliable in his own zone. And that's why, to me, when you watch Oilers play against Capitals Saturday night, that's why his ice time was pulled back pretty heavily while the Oilers were chasing a goal. It was mainly just because he isn't as reliable in his own zone, and they couldn't afford Washington to go up by 2. So
right.
I'm very curious to see if Szymanski comes in and like Knobloch was saying, says he's more defensively responsible. I'd imagine that he's a little bit more physical than Howard too. I'd like to see his 6'2" frame get some use his physicality a little bit there. And so I like the look, man. He's gonna go play in the Olympics. So may as well give him some of the best competition in the world in the NHL, and see how he does, man. Like, who knows? He could be a pretty solid bottom 6 guy for the Oilers, and he seems like he's doing well in Bakersfield. So I'm curious to see if it converts over to the NHL.
Keep it simple, kid. He should be just fine. All right, we're going to get to Jonathan Davis in just a second. Meanwhile, we'll do the game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Of course, Play Alberta, the presenting sponsor of Edmonton Sports Talk and our tire station. Safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. Your money line for tonight: Edmonton, when I popped in right before the start of the show, was at -278. The Ducks at +227. What is going on there? And then the over-under set at 6.5. The over is at -149. The under at +112. Benny, JD says he's not hearing anything right now. If you want to work on the back end with him there.
Yeah, I can try. We'll see. All
right. So we'll get Jonathan Davis all set up and get a report on the Anaheim Ducks. You could text us 780-218-9999. First of 3 meetings between these two teams, Pacific Division rivals. They'll play again February 28th in Anaheim, and then they'll wrap things up with the season series March 28th here in Edmonton. Of course, the Oilers coming off that 6-5 OT win Saturday against Washington. The Ducks last night, 4-3 OT win in Calgary. Chris Knobloch looks for 121 wins in his career. Edmonton at home, 13-8-4. The Ducks on the road, 13-13-2. They have won 4 straight road games. The Oilers are 60-56-8 with 2 ties all time against Anaheim. Meanwhile, at home, the Oil have a 33-24-5 record versus Anaheim. Edmonton's also won 4 of the last 5 home games against the Ducks, but have lost 3 of the last 4 games overall versus Anaheim. Edmonton versus the Pacific Division this season, 6-2-3. Meanwhile, the Ducks are 8-5-0. You can text us 780-218-9999. JD, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If not, no worries. He's still working on it there. We'll go inside the inbox. I can hear JD though, Benny.
Yeah,
I can hear him.
It would be on his end. He has to edit the audio thing. I think he might have us now, but yeah, I believe he fixed it.
Oh, I can hear JD. JD, can you hear us? No, he can't hear us.
Yeah, so
if anything, we could just get him over the phone.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, just give him a call. Jonathan Davis from SiriusXM NHL Network will be joining us shortly. Looking to connect right now on the pregame show, and let's see if we have any lines yet. I'm looking for lines. I'm not seeing anything. At all. Let's see what's going on in the nasty chat. What do we got? People talking trades. Geest MD79, good to see him back in the chat, says, I like the lineup with Szymanski and Kapanen back in. I have high hopes for Ike Howard, but would rather see Roslovic on the wing. I'm with you on that one, Geest. I think Roslovic's better served on the wing. And then, yes, and Danzo says the Oilers are 7-3 head-to-head in the last 10 against the Ducks. These are not your grandpa's Ducks. Yeah, they're playing a lot better. And then Nolan from St. Albert via the inbox 780-218-9999 says, went to the Oilers versus Anaheim game last year and we got melted. Turn the tables, please. And also adds, Bouchard haters were oddly quiet in my office today. Yes. For good reason. All right. We do have some lines. Here we go. Thank you, Glue Guy. Jay Milne coming up clutch. For the Oilers, McDavid between Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Kapanen. Indeed, Szymanski between Savoy and Roslovic. Lazar centering Janmark and Frederick on defense. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Wallman. Stasny with Emberson. Tristan Jarry is your starter in goal. Ville Husso is confirmed to get the nod for the Ducks. Of course, Husso and Jarry will get you their head-to-head numbers, as those two are your netminders for tonight. Start with Husso, the 30-year-old, 6-4-1 this season, 308 goals against average, 888 save percentage in 11 games this season. Husso is 1-1-1 versus Edmonton, 366 GAA, 895 save percentage in 4 games versus the Oil. And then Tristan Jarry this season, 14-5-2 with a 282 GAA, 900 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 22 games. Jarry versus the Ducks, 2-3-0 is the record. 270 goals against average, 898 save percentage in 6 games. All right, Jonathan Davis, host of the Ice Cap on NHL Network Radio, joining us now over the phone. JD, did we get it all sorted out? You doing okay?
Yeah, technology is a really good thing until you have to learn how to use it, and I'm obviously a moron. So, but we're good. Now, here's my question for you.
Okay.
Was your grade point average in university closer to Jarry's numbers against Anaheim or Husso's against Edmonton?
Well, let's see. They started out closer. Well, they would start out well below Husso's, or pardon me. What's Jarry against Edmonton? 270. So closer to Jarry's. Yeah. Much closer to Jarry's. And then they ended much more closer to Husso's. Yeah. I was still playing junior hockey my first year of college. Yeah. So there was a lot of late nights, early mornings.
Yeah.
It happens.
All right.
It happens.
Okay, man. Very proud of you.
Great question. Thank you, JD. I appreciate that very, very much. Yeah. All right. Hey, this 7-game winning streak the Ducks are on, it comes on the heels of a 9-game winless stretch. What are you seeing? Yeah. What's led to this success? Because they have a bunch of injuries, JD.
I think they got out of playing the run and gun. They were comfortable in trying to win games, 6-4. They had a bunch of 7-goal games early on in the year that they were on the right side of, but then you start getting into those 7-goal losses, and so I think the injuries they kind of just said to themselves, guys, we can't trade chances. We're missing Carlson, we're missing Terry, we're missing McTavish. And we're just not playing well defensively. And hey, look, you get good goaltending like Dostal had in Colorado, that 40 save performance, and that also played into their struggles. When he came back from injury, Tom, his first game back was a stinker against Dallas on home ice. if I remember correctly. And it just, he struggled. He struggled during that losing streak, or maybe it was Minnesota. I'm trying to remember what game it was, but he struggled when he got back, and it's taken him some time to rebound. But then, he comes back, and during this win streak, it's a 3-1 win. It's a 3-2 shootout win against LA. And now granted, LA doesn't try to score. But they had the 2-1 Colorado game and 2 to Seattle. And then last night it was 3 against Calgary. In a game where I thought that was a game that was right for Calgary to win just because Anaheim has the game tonight. But they're getting better goaltending, and they're just not getting involved in high-scoring games, giving up 2 or less in 5 of their last 7.
Hey, your memory is really good, JD. I'm looking at those numbers when Dostal was in there. That was a 4-7 situation against Dallas, and then 6 on 30 against LA. So those are tough numbers and hard to win in situations like that. So well done, sir. Remembering all of that. Okay, so they do have this 7-game winning streak. If people didn't watch that game against the Calgary Flames yesterday, maybe they were watching football. I don't know. What would they have seen? Maybe you were watching football too, but I mean, Beckett Seneca with that hat trick and another win for the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, no, I did have the football game on one of the screens last night. I mean,
of course, you have 19 screens.
Right. Well, my son's a huge Rams fan, and I couldn't care either way. I'm a Bills fan, so as far as I'm concerned, NFL season is done. But
right.
If you did watch last night, you saw arguably what will be one of the 3 finalists for the Rookie of the Year. Beckett Seneca, leads the NHL in goals. Gosh, Tom, he's 20 years old. If you caught his interview last night, and that was the first time you heard him, and you had your eyes closed, you thought you were listening to a guy who was closer to 30 than 20. I mean, he's just got the deepest voice. He sounds like the oldest 20-year-old. But he's a talented kid. He doesn't shy away from contact. Second in the NHL in points. Really talented player. And another guy, you think about who Pat Verbeek has drafted the last couple of years, and Leo Carlson caught many of us off guard when he took Carlson instead of Fantilli. And Beckett Seneca was no different. Seneca had no clue the Ducks were drafting him. That was off the board for him to get drafted as high as he did. But, look, a supremely talented kid. And, so watch out. I mean, he's definitely a guy that you have to pay attention to when he's on the ice.
All right. Speaking of Pat Verbeek, JD, and what he's done with this team and how it's upstart for sure this season, we can definitely say that the Ducks are an upstart team. Is it the players that Pat Verbeek has brought in? Is it just natural growth? And how much of the difference is what Joel Quenneville brings to the table with his coaching acumen?
It's all of the above. And I mean, I'm not trying to take the easy answer out and pat, no pun intended, pat everybody on the back, but it's all of the above. I mean, you've had the evolution of the young kids. I mean, look, people, if you're not, people who aren't familiar with Anaheim, next to Columbus last year, they had the largest increase in point total from the season prior. I think it was 21 points. I think Columbus was at 22 or 23. Greg Cronin did a really good job of laying the foundation. But, his personality, it grated on the players at times. It got better in the second half of the year. But when you've got a coach like Joel Quenneville available, I mean, that's the guy that, one, has a chance to take your team to the next level. I kind of compare it to what LA did when they got rid of Terry Murray and brought in Daryl Sutter. I mean, Murray did a great job of laying the foundation, teaching guys, how to play the 200-foot game, being responsible. But Daryl was the guy that could take you over the hump. And that's what Quenneville has done. I mean, you look at games, the fact that they have come back for as many games as they have this year. I think they lead the league, or they're up near the top of the league in third period comebacks. They've had games this year. Look, they got blown out earlier in the year by Utah 7-0. They came back in their next game and beat Washington 4-3 in a shootout that they battled back from being down a goal 3 times. I don't think that happens with Greg Cronin. That is something that happens with Joel Quenneville. So there have been games. Yeah, then you look at they got blown up by Dallas 8-3, and the next night on a back-to-back they beat Columbus 4-3. So this is what some of the things that Joel Quenneville has done, and he hasn't been harsh to sit players. Stroma's had a hard time getting himself in the lineup. Doesn't play favorites. He's moved around, his best players up and down the lineup. And then the other thing is that, look, Kreider got off to a really good start, slowed down. He did score last night. But the fact that, that they could get, Kreider's a big help early on. Trouba has been really good. The thing that Quenneville, I think, will help out with is getting players to come to Anaheim. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was not, look, they're always playing second fiddle to LA, or they have been for a number of years. They're not going to play second fiddle to LA anymore. Like, would it shock you if Panarin landed in Anaheim? Because they've got the pieces to trade for him, and they have the cap space. And he's got players that he knows and a coach that he played for.
Jonathan Davis joining us now, host of Ice Cap on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, as we get you set for the Oilers and the Ducks. JD, like I said off the top, when I was saying that you're joining us today, you cover the entire West Coast when it comes to the teams in California, into Vegas. What do you make of this Pacific Division this year, and where do you think it'll go in the final 30-ish games?
Well, I mean, I think Vegas is creating a bit of separation, albeit yesterday's sinker that, they were still celebrating, the Mitch Marner win in Toronto and probably had way too much wine after the game and food in Toronto before, heading out to Ottawa. But the Anderson acquisition, helps this team big time. Like, it would help any team, but with not having Pietrangelo, gone for the year, they don't have McNabb. When McNabb gets back, like that's going to be a really good group of six. The one thing that, the one concern, but maybe it's not so bad because of the way the league is at, is that, look, Mitch Marner is playing center, and he does everything really well about playing center, except Tommy can't win a draw. And so I don't know, like, the Knights haven't announced it. It's my understanding that Carlson had surgery 2 weeks ago. They haven't put him on season-ending long-term IR. He's just on IR. So if they deem maybe after the Olympics that he's not good to go, and they do put him on season-ending long-term injury reserve, which will thrill everybody, fans around the league, that Vegas is going to, not that they can't circumvent things anymore because he can't play in the playoffs if he goes on season-ending LTIR. But it'll allow them to go after a center that I think they desperately need.
It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I know, JD, that this has been a condensed season and schedule, and we've got a couple of weeks off when it comes to the NHL, but we're going to get Olympic hockey. Very odd, very peculiar, and just what we have to get used to in an Olympic year with the NHL back involved, which is great. JD, thank you for doing this. Always appreciate the time. We are going to do it again, and we'll get that video portion sorted out next time.
Send me the tutorial link, and I'll get it sorted out.
Okay, we can do that. I'll get producer Ben on it. Thanks, buddy. Good to hear from you.
Thanks, bud. Have a good night. Enjoy the game.
There you go. Jonathan Davis, Sirius XM, NHL Network Radio. Great stuff from him. All right, we have minus 2 minutes left. Benny Thomson, just some final thoughts from you.
Take advantage of a team that's still hurt. I understand they've won 7 in a row, but the Oilers are a better team on paper. Go win a Pacific Division game, 4-point game. Get it done.
Create a little bit of a buffer because the Ducks have closed in on the Oilers. Really quickly, your lines for tonight. McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Kapanen, who returns. Josh Szymanski making his NHL debut. Will line up at center between Savoy and Roslovic. And then you got Lazar between Frederick and Janmark. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Emerson, Wallman with Stasny, no Regula, no Mangiapane. Ike Howard has been sent back down to Bakersfield. For the Ducks, Mikhail Granlund with Alex Killorn and Beckett Seneca. Jadson Harkins between Chris Kreider and Ryan Strome. Ryan Poehling with Jeffrey Vriel and Cutter Gauthier. Tim Wash between Ross Johnson and Ian Moore. Jackson Lacombe paired up with Jacob Trouba. Pavel Mintyukov with Drew Hellison, and then Olin Zellweger with Radko Gudas, your starting goalies. Tristan Jarry for the Oil, Ville Husso for the Ducks. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Big thank you to Jonathan Davis from SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. Thank you to everybody who listened. iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, of course, EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player, and on YouTube. So good, so good. Big numbers for the pregame show. You'll love to see it. This game is on Amazon Prime, and I did see a post in the Nasty Chat saying if you don't have Prime, there's still ways to watch. For Matt Kassian and Ben Thomson, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the game, and we'll see you on the postgame show. Ciao for now.